On today's episode of the DeRaud-Messinger Show, we are drafting. Yes, drafting. We got to make this a fun experience so you guys can draft along or critique us, mostly Dylan, not me, let's be honest. Our top Texas players in 2023, the MVPs of the team. You could call them X Factors. We're going to stick with MVPs because of the confusion we had on our end. But yes, Dylan, I'm excited for this. I'm excited to finally show the world that while I might be the inferior fantasy football player, I can still beat you in a draft.
Yeah, whatever you say. But like we were talking about, I did think it was X Factors. But hey, I might still take Brett Auburn first. So like we'll see how this goes.
If you don't take Bert Auburn first, that's
No,
quite
God.
quite a shame. Now, I was a
Now I
gentleman
can't say it
here.
because I got.
I was a gentleman. I gave Dylan the first pick. No coin flip needed. Okay, Dylan, where do you screw up first in your draft?
Where do I screw up? Well, Devin, if you watch our, I don't know which order we're going to release these videos, but in one of our videos we touched on how important the offensive line is to this team and how impactful it's going to be. Well, no better pick than the one that started 13 games in his first year on the team, Devin. I will be taking left tackle, sophomore Kelvin Banks out of Humble, Texas. Devin, he stands at 6'4", 318 pounds. That's a big man right there. And that's anchoring the left side of the football, which is going to be Quinn Ewers' blind spot. So if we want Quinn Ewers to have a successful year, he's going to need to have time, right, to process, be in the pocket. And Kelvin Banks is going to be that guy that supports him in that sense and creates lanes in the running game. That is now going to be without Bijan Robinson and Roshan Johnson, right? So outside of games like TCU and Alabama, Texas was able to run the ball very effectively, Devin. And those were all games that, again, Kelvin Banks started in. As a freshman, starting all the games as a left tackle, one of the most important positions in football. And he was a second team all Big 12 selection. So, Devin, I will be going with Kelvin Banks with my first pick, which I think is great positional value, right? We talk about not taking running backs in the
Quite
first
literally
round.
positional
Well,
value there. You got your left tackle. You shore up.
money,
Yeah.
money.
No, I agree. I didn't have him at first on my draft board, but I was really tempted to. So
Okay.
I'm with you there. And Kelvin,
Way to tank that. Way to tank that pick. All
I
right.
I just mean
Sounds good.
like I don't know. It wasn't my first pick, but no, I agree in terms of
Mm.
offense. I think that's a no brainer, at least in terms of like the first overall pick. Texas, we've seen in the past couple years when they don't have that strong line, how terrible it's gotten for the quarterbacks and the running backs. So Banks, I think, doing safe first pick. For pick number two, here we go for me. You went offense, so I got to bounce back with a defensive
Yeah.
pick. I'm gonna play or pick the player that was kind of shafted, for lack of a better word, of a defensive player of the year trophy in the Big 12. I'm gonna go Jalen Ford at linebacker. Ford had just such a great progression last year. Dylan, went from someone I covered in high school. I gotta always flex that. But I mean, he went from seeing some time to boom, he's on the scene. Last year, totaled 119 tackles, 4 interceptions, 3 forced fumbles, and I put a plus sign. Plus, he's a leader. He's also taking the media days in and everything. Done. He's the vocal leader of the defense, the
Mm-hmm.
linebacker, which has been kind of I wouldn't say not a strength, but it's just kind of been kind of iffy over the past maybe 10 years. But he's, the leader of the team defensively. I'm picking him. I'm not taking it back, no matter how hard you try. And I'm going to go snake draft here, Dylan. I'm getting the third pick.
I was about to say, but also, Devin, I like the pivot going forward. You're anchoring your defense here, middle linebacker position. Some will say that you probably could have had him later in the draft just because he's a linebacker. If we're going NFL rules here, but I do like the pick. Again, the mark of a good linebacker is he's in on every play, especially a running play. And in this case, with those interceptions, Devin, he was in on passing plays too. So he was somebody the quarterback had to account for every single play, and he did just that. So it's a great pick.
Thank you, thank you. And pick number three, I'm gonna argue about that linebacker shade, but it's whatever, it's whatever. It's for another day. Pick number three, I don't think we could really pick anyone else here. You might disagree with me, but I think it's got to be Quinn Ewers. If Texas wants any chance at going for the title and going for another sort of title, Quinn Ewers has to be the guy this year. And of course, he was the guy last year, but he's got to be more consistently the guy, Dylan. He's got the potential to do it, and he's got the weapons to do it. He doesn't have excuses this year. last year, just learning the playbook, getting reps under his belt. This year is the chance for him to really accelerate that learning on the field. And hopefully for Texas fans, take them to maybe not the promised land, but, a nice vacation at a 4-star hotel sort of deal, But how do you feel about that?
Well, of course, I like the pick. You could probably, a lot of people watching this would probably say Quinn Ewers probably should have gone number one over a left tackle or a middle linebacker, just given how important he is to this team. And you saw that when they didn't have him in games like Texas Tech, right? And when he had to go out uh, in the Alabama game, right? When they were looking really good and then got injured. So that's definitely the right pick there. I'm mad that you got him in the second round there. I was definitely going to take him right after that. So props to you for that pick. Definitely the right pick, and getting him in that spot is you gotta love it, right? But with my pick, Devin, I'm gonna be taking. You're probably thinking once when I'm gonna say safety valve, you're gonna think of one guy, but I think this is the most talented player outside of yours in a sense um, on this team, and I'm gonna go Jatavian Sanders at tight end, the junior Devin out of Denton Ryan,
All right, our
right?
boy,
So
our boy.
our boy, we've been watching him for years. He was playing linebacker in high school, also coming in on offense, right? It's just his talent is out of this world in a sense, right? Standing at 6'4", just seemingly always open to and able to make those contested catches. And again, like I was talking about, a giant safety valve for Ewers. Felt like when other guys couldn't get open, he was always open in the middle of the field. And plus, he was double covered, and Ewers just felt like slinging it. He could go up there and grab it, right? And he had the most receptions in tight end history for the program, Devin, last year. So it just seems like the most logical pick there
You know,
in the second round with Ewers gone.
yeah, fairly decent. And as you said, from going to like an outside linebacker to an edge in high school to getting to Texas, becoming a tight end. But of course, at high school, if you guys have seen any of Ryan's games when Sanders was there, he was also playing some receiver, and he probably had the best hands on the team there. So no surprise. Yeah, I can't be mad at that pick, Dylan. Maybe a little surprised, maybe taken a little early, but it's okay. It's okay. I mean, if
Hey,
I
man, if we're
wanted to pick a tight end other than Bowers at Georgia, you go JT right here. So I like it.
yeah. No, I appreciate it because my first pick, you're like, I don't even know if I had him on my board. So I appreciate the compliment there. Now, next one, Devin, this is not gonna be great positionally, but going later into the year, I think this will be one of those where like, wow, he went in the third round. And I'm gonna be going with Jonathan Brooks, the sophomore, redshirt sophomore running back from Hounsville, Texas, Devin. Now with Bijan gone and Roshan gone, they're gonna need to fill that backfield. And there is talent there, obviously, with Jonathan Brooks. I mean, he led an historic run for for Hounsville, sorry, first ever 3A D1 championship appearance against Jim Nad. Sadly, they lost in overtime, Devin, by a point. But we do remember how crazy that run was, seemingly enough, because it was like they were always the higher
Underdog.
seed in a sense, underdog, right? And they kept winning, and just him turning out insane game, 300 yards, 200 yards, um, 3 touchdowns. So the stuff he was able to do in high school, obviously this is a different league, right, going into college, but the talent is there. He had a huge run against Oklahoma and a touchdown in the bowl game when he was able to get more carries because Bijan wasn't playing. And I think he's with the talent that he's got, he's going to be right there for first team reps starting off the season, right? So those first 2 games are going to be huge litmus tests for him. But if he's able to do what I think he can do, right, and become the workhorse back for this team, I think he's going to be an incredibly impact player, and that's why I'm taking him here in the third round to start off.
Yeah, and besides, Quinn Ewers, Brooks, if he ends up being the guy at running back, which I think all people believe he will be, he's definitely going to be, the second most important guy on that offense, at least in terms of skill positions or gunslingers. And, as Dylan said, Brooks in high school, he showed out, and in a big way. It was, I kind of felt bad for the other teams at times, because as Dylan said, Hallettsville seemingly was the underdog in a lot of those matchups, but Brooks single-handedly took them to the title game practically. Of course, there's other people on the team, and that loss, I don't want to talk about it, Dylan, in the title game, but that was a tough loss for him. But Brooks here, he's the guy. I like the pick. I think that's good positional value there. Pick number 6 here. I got Quinn Ewers. Dylan, I need someone to throw the ball to. I'm going to go Xavier Worthy
Yeah.
here. Of course, he had a little bit of a down year last year, which, Dylan, if you can have a down year with 760 receiving yards and 60 catches and 9 touchdowns, I think you're doing okay overall. We're going to figure that he's going to bounce back a little bit, even with added threats throughout the field offensively, which you might think is a little, counterintuitive. But those other threats, such as a AD Mitchell and, of course, Jatavian Sanders still being on the team, that's going to open
Don't
up.
forget Whittington, though.
And my boy Whittington. I love Whittington. That opens up the field once again for Xavier. This is his year. Can he stay healthy? He had a secret injury pop up. I'm not sure at what point in the season, but Sark mentioned it after the Washington game that I believe he had a broken hand, which explains some of the, drops, which were definitely tough to see. Can he, be sure-handed here and just do what he did, a season before? And yet again, he's still the guy for Ewers. Can they connect, please? Texas gods, can they connect on a deep ball? Dylan, what did I have to give to see that last year? But Worthy tends to be open deep. It's just a matter of can Ewers connect with him. Of course, it's, on both players, though, to get that, timing down. But I think this is a good pick here. AD Mitchell would be, a reasonable pick, but he's got some time to also get used to the system. Worthy's been there, so I'm going to go Worthy with pick number 6. And pick number 7, on the opposite side of the ball, guarding the opposing receivers, I'm going to go Jahdae Barron. Jahdae really stepped up last year. And especially, I'm proud of him, covering him one game in high school at a Pflugerville Connolly, going from, I believe he was a 3-star recruit to, of course, stars in terms of recruiting services more so translate to the NFL level, but going from 3 stars to the general of that secondary last season for Texas. They're going to need him to, do his job and lock down the offense of the other teams. And I know Dylan is really, really, really skeptical at times about the secondary for Texas, but if we're doing a draft here, I want my best, player in the secondary to be picked before Dylan gets a chance. So I'm going to go Jahdae Barron.
Yeah,
78 tackles, Dylan, 2 interceptions. Not bad.
Yeah, and with that speed and size that he's got, he can match up well with those speedsters for the opposing team, right? You got Ryan Watson on the other side standing at 6'3". He can cover the bigger threats. But I like that pick with Jahdae Barron, obviously, just with the experience as well, being at Texas for a while. Homegrown talent, right? It's a good pick there for sure. But for me, Devin, I've only picked offensive players so far. So I feel like I need to switch on to the other side of the ball here. It's tough. Like thinking about going up front, like Devondre Sweat, right? Anchoring that defensive line, right at the defensive tackle position. Going back, maybe with a transfer here with Jalen Catalon, you're betting on that talent that he's got, even though that he's arguably kind of missed the last two seasons. He's only played 7 games over the past 2 years. He did have that breakout 2020 year for Arkansas when he had 99 tackles, 3 interceptions, and 4 pass deflections. But it's been a while since then. Is that shoulder going to hold up? And I want to stay in that secondary, and with arguably he's going to be his counterpart. I'm going to be going with Jerrin Thompson, the senior at safety. Devin, he's got this experience. He's been there for 4 years, right? He's a heavy hitter he showed improvement throughout the year. Obviously, you can argue like his hands were kind of like bricks out there, missing some interceptions. But he was putting himself in the right spots. I'm looking at it as
he's putting himself in the
side,
spots to make those interceptions that we need to capitalize
and that's
on.
It's half the battle, right? It's half the battle. So he's working on his hands this season. You come away with some more interceptions there. That's going to change the course of a lot of games, Devin. It's going to flip the script. So he's somebody that I bet on with that talent, with that leadership, with the experience, right? Who I think is going to be an incredibly impact player for an improved secondary for Texas that's going to build off last year.
I think that's fair. Jerrin Thompson was definitely, you talked about safety valve in JT Sanders on offense. Jerrin Thompson has been more of the safety valve on defense in that secondary, trying to stop players from breaking it to the house. And, of course, he's Also shown some great growth, like Jade Barron. Also, Tom or Jaron is from the Austin area. Yet again, we love those homegrown kids. Need to work on the hands a little bit there, like Dylan said. But guys, that's 4 picks and 4 picks. Dylan picked Kelvin Banks first pick, J.T. Sanders, Jonathan Brooks, and then Jaron. Devon picked Jalen Ford, Ewers, Worthy, and Barron. Now, I know I won the draft, but if you guys would please let me know in the comments, that'd be greatly appreciated. But as always, we hope you have a great rest of your day and, hook 'em.